free speech is the actual battleground. In Canada, Trudeau's bringing in a new censorship suite of laws. Can you tell us about what they're trying to do to knock Infowars off the air? And if they're able to seize Infowars, do you plan to continue to speak maybe on a different platform or in a different corporate entity?
Well, that's a great question, Ezra. You kind of started the interview talking about free speech and Musk, and it's a good place to finish up. But it's huge issue. Obviously, we could talk about it for hours.
Oh, hi, everybody. I am back in our world headquarters in Toronto, Canada. I just got back this morning from a trip to Austin, Texas. What an interesting city that is. It's Texas. It's the capital of Texas, but it's a little bit weird. In fact, that's one of their unofficial mottos. Weird Austin, keep Austin weird. It's a high-tech city, too. In fact, Twitter is moving its head office there. Elon Musk has a big presence in Texas near Austin. A lot of interesting people are there. Joe Rogan and a lot of other broadcasters, including Alex Jones of Infowars. A controversial man, to be sure, but a man for whom many things that he said as that were labeled conspiracy theories later became true. In fact, when I talked with him yesterday, you'll see my interview with him, I said there's two ways to be wrong. You could believe too many things to be true and be gullible, or you could believe too many things are false and be overly skeptical. Those are two kinds of errors. Ideally, we're skeptical for things we should be skeptical about, and we believe things we should believe in. But if you had to choose one of those mistakes to make, given the way of the world these days, I would choose an omni-skeptic. I would choose someone who challenges and cross-examines and doubts things more than someone who is too gullible. That got Alex Jones into some trouble a dozen years ago when he saw a mass shooting in a school at Sandy Hook, and he thought that it looked wrong. He said it was fake. He later retracted that and apologized to the families of the kids shot in that school shooting, but not before they sued him and were awarded $1.5 billion in a defamation case. That's a staggering amount of money. For example, when the Libyan government blew up the flight over Lockerbie, Scotland, they paid reparations $10 million per family. Alex Jones had to pay $50 million per family. And he didn't kill people. He just talked about it. You could call it lawfare. You could call it a bunch of things. But one of the things that emanated from that is Infowars itself is going to be auctioned off by the government to pay part of that debt. I went down there to talk a little bit about that. You'll see I asked a question to Alex Jones about that. But basically, I wanted to talk to him about the state of the world. I wanted to talk to him about his fears for the upcoming election, and if he's hopeful, if he thinks the election might be stolen again. I wanted to hear what he thought about several assassination attempts against Donald Trump. There was so much to talk about. I interviewed him for about 20 or 25 minutes, and then I appeared on his show for a full hour, and then he has a fellow broadcaster, Owen Schroyer, and I was on his show for an hour. It was an interesting visit. They really are the granddaddy of citizen journalism. I don't know, if you know how Alex Jones got his start. It was by sneaking in to sort of a weird occult summer camp for grown-up billionaires called Bohemian Grove. Have you ever heard of that before? It's an astonishing thing. A very young Alex Jones sneaked into like a cult-like gathering of mainly Republicans, actually. The Democrats have their own weirdness, primarily around the late Jeffrey Epstein. Here's just a little clip of what Alex Jones saw in Bohemian Grove. I think that was a very important news report that Alex Jones made. People said, oh no, there's nothing funny going on in Bohemian Grove. Definitely not a cult or a sex cult. Definitely nothing you need to be concerned about. And he proved all of that was true and more. And if your strange accusation turns out to be true and then some, you have a confidence that forever, if someone says you're wrong, that's a conspiracy theory, I suppose it gives you a confidence to say, no, I want to continue pressing on to find the truth, because I mean, that's a almost a once-in-a-lifetime level scoop he had in Bohemian Grove. Anyhow, that's Alex Jones. I like the guy. I find him a great storyteller, an entertaining storyteller. I find that he's naturally curious. He's a voracious reader. I think he gets his facts straight, certainly more than the mainstream media. Anyways, I went down there, and I always enjoy my discussions with him. Obviously, I don't agree with everything he has to say, but then again, I don't know any two people who do disagree with each other 100% of the time. Certainly not husbands and wives or people that close. But Alex Jones is important. He's an important symbol of citizen journalism, of freedom of speech, and of the fact that I think the regime media gets away with too much. The fact that he was canceled by 14 different social media platforms on the same day, I think should have been an alarm to the rest of us. It wasn't really, because it was just Alex Jones. Whatever you think of the man, let me know. 36 days to the U.S. presidential election. The whole world hangs on it, not just America, but even us in Canada. What are your thoughts?
Well, Ezra, it's great to have you here in Austin. You know, I got to say, I've been on air 30 years, and nothing even comes 10% as close to the suspense, the danger, just the incredible crossroads that not just America, but the whole world is in right now. We see populists winning elections all over the planet. We see a global awakening to the whole BlackRock New World Order cashless society slave grid that's being put in place. We've seen 2 attempted assassination attempts on President Trump. We see Kamala just plunging even in the establishment polls. And so the system is very, very desperate right now, but it's going to try to launch some black swan events, I believe false flags, and other crises and October surprises to try to scare the public back into submission, or at least have a big enough crisis that they're able to steal the election like the evidence is overwhelming they did in 2000, and to make that believable. So we are living in the most interesting times, undoubtedly in modern history and probably in human history.
Here's a message from our friends at Goldco. You know, Joe Biden may have dropped out of the race, but he's not done just yet. Will he jam through his hidden tax trap at the last second, right before he goes? Where he could raid your retirement funds, supercharge your income taxes, increase your utility and gas prices, and inflate costs on things you need to live. Some or all of this could affect you or your family in one way or another. I'm telling you, if you wait and see, you may as well kiss your retirement savings goodbye. The good news is you can get prepared, but you better hurry. Reach out to Goldco today to learn how precious metals could help protect you and your family. They're offering you a free 20 to 25 gold and silver kit, plus up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified accounts. All you have to do is visit Rebel News 4, that's the number 4, gold.com, rebelnews4gold.com. Your retirement funds, income taxes, gas prices could all be affected. Visit rebelnews4gold.com. It's rebelnews4gold.com. Assassination attempts on Trump, then I think what could only be called a coup, removing Joe Biden. Like, I just have never seen anything like it, and there's still a month to go. I'm actually worried about another assassination attempt. To me, that's the most terrifying thing. Do you think Donald Trump is taking his security seriously? Is he relying too much on a partisan Secret Service? Do you think he has some of the Blackwater guys advising him? Are you worried about Trump's safety?
I know he's taking it more seriously than he did in the past. The guy's tough. He's got ice water in his veins, but absolutely he's taking it more serious. In fact, recently they've been having to downsize to smaller venues and turn tens of thousands away because they just doesn't have the Secret Service he needs to even have adequate or basic protection. And that's because of the Biden-Harris control of the DHS and Mayorkas, who's a total globalist, and the one that's running all the child trafficking and open borders, and so they're doing that deliberately, just like they didn't give RFK Jr., even though they killed his dad and uncle, the Attorney General and the President, any coverage. So they know exactly what they're doing, and each time, and the evidence is overwhelming, it was the deep state, failed to kill him the last few times. It just gets more and more crazy from that point on, and so. That's really all they've got now is to try to assassinate. People ask, will Trump win? There's a lot of information out there that goes into why I believe he will. But if they know the landslide's so big that the fraud can't overpower that, they'll try to kill him, and that's why they've done it. And if you follow the trajectory of them trying to block him in 2016, putting him under investigation, all the fake dossiers, the lawfare, the impeachments, the indictments, the kangaroo trial, the criminal conviction, it was easy to predict they'd try to assassinate him, as you did, and as Tucker Carlson did, as I did, because that's the trajectory. And then each time they fail, it becomes more desperate. So it's good news, paradoxically, on one side, that all these different corrupt institutions around the world, the leftist globalist combine, is in so much trouble. But again, they're a cornered animal, so that's the paradox. They're so dangerous now.
I think a lot of people have their opinion on Donald Trump, and they're really not going to change it. I think most conservative-leaning folks, they don't care about the lawfare, the charges, the convictions, because they write that off as sort of sham trials. And likewise, there's Trump haters that no matter, they'll never vote for Trump. I think a lot of Americans, seems to me, are already set. But Kamala Harris, she's not as well known. She was disliked. She's dislikable. She dropped out of the presidential primaries very early.
Less than 2%.
So they're trying to, by they, I'm talking about the regime media, the media industrial complex, they're trying to make her attractive and compelling, mainly by not having her do interviews. Do you think they'll succeed? Do you think they'll make her, I find her very unlikable. Do you think they can turn her into a likable candidate? They got a month.
It's really turned her into more of a joke. They're just trying to convince us that they can convince some people, so if they're able to steal it, it's believable. That's why they had to get rid of Biden. No one was going to believe that the crypt keeper, who couldn't even string a sentence together, actually was going to be able to win this. So if they were able to steal it, they knew he wasn't believable. That's why they had to get rid of him.
You talked about free speech. I think 2016 was a free speech victory. I think Trump won largely because of social media. 2020 was a censorship victory. What's 2024 looking like? You got Elon Musk really empowering people on Twitter, but you've got other social media networks. Who knows what they're doing? Mark Zuckerberg claims he's neutral. I don't know if I believe him. Do you think it's going to be a freer election? Do you think it's going to be fairer? Do you think Republicans are more alert to the kind of ballot shenanigans that there were last time?
Well, that's what goes into the calculus earlier. I said a lot goes into it from all the different experts and different research we've done, looking at past polls that are accurate, polling agencies that aren't. Trump won in a landslide in 2016. And because of that, the election fraud was like a seawall, but his landslide was so big, he was able to still get in and handily. Then in 2020, because of the Q stuff and Trump's invincible and everything's fine, a lot of folks didn't really worry about it. And Rasmussen and others that have been very accurate in the past predicted that he would probably lose. And I've talked to the head of Rasmussen polling. He believes because of baked-in fraud, Trump really won, but Trump won by a little, so they were able to steal it. Now the Rasmussen head pollster, who's one of the most accurate out there, says that this is a bigger landslide than 2016. So again, that's why they tried to kill Trump, because of the fact that they know that he's going to win. And then you add that you've got Texas taking over 1 million illegal aliens and dead people off the rolls, North Carolina taking, hundreds of thousands off, Nevada, hundreds of thousands off. I mean, it's massive what they found. And so, yeah, and Zuckerberg's still behind the scenes to a great extent, but he's not as robust as he was. So it's a lot of dead reckoning goes into that, Ezra. But yes, everything's pointing towards a major Trump landslide, which will then look like a narrow victory, in my view. And again, that's why they want to kill him.
I'm also worried for Elon Musk, because he's, in his own way, just as provocative as Trump. I can't believe some of the things he says on Twitter. He's very different than most billionaire industrialists.
It's like Ezra Levant or Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson took over his brain.
Now, he said, I mean, he uses hyperbole, but he can usually back it up. And he's had hyperbolic success. He said this election is the do or die moment for the Republic. What do you think he meant by that? And do you think he's right?
Well, he's totally right. This is an existential crisis, which means a death battle. It means America's very existence is on the line here. We have powerful global financial forces backed by Communist China and others that are on record wanting to basically turn the United States into a vassal of the larger New World Order system. And that's where we are, where America becomes a permanent, deep state-controlled, one-party state. And just like Venezuela and now more and more Brazil, they'll still have elections, but they'll be completely fraudulent.
You know, America has to do what's in its own interest, but a lot of people around the world feel the result on November 5th will affect their interests too. I feel that way in Canada. And I look around the world, and there's some countries that are more freedom-oriented, or let's say against mass immigration as well, against globalism. They're betting on Trump, whereas people who I regard as anti-American, it's sort of funny how anti-American countries like a weak U.S. president. It makes perfect sense.
Of course.
Who do you think is, what do you, play out for me just briefly, scenarios, God forbid Kamala Harris wins. What does China do? What does Iran do? What does the European Union do? Versus if Trump wins, what do those same foreign powers do? America has to do what's right in its own interest, but I know there's people around the world, their lives will change too.
Well, I saw Hillary, it was from yesterday, but it was on the air today. We talked about it. And she's out there just lying as usual, in between calling for censorship and arresting people for speech and talking about black swans. She said, oh, you know, the communist Chinese are for Trump. And you know, Iran is for, no, Iran got caught hacking Trump's campaign. Communist China dominates and funds a lot of our media in Hollywood. It's all pro-Biden. I mean, half the Democratic Party, it's been estimated, is on the communist Chinese payroll. And so it's just absolutely imperative we get Trump in. Trump is respected. We had no major wars when he was in. We had major peace deals. Because people respect a strong American president. The world, you know, sees that. And when Trump said we're open for business again, all that business flooded back in until they launched COVID to try to block it. Because America's not been open for business for 30, 40 years. There's all these special deals to make sure it gets transferred to India or China or Mexico or 160 other, you know, developing or third world countries. And Trump, you know, discovered what we already knew, but he really got into it, that there were these middlemen, he said, making more money than Americans or even the Chinese that had made the deals going back decades with the communist Chinese leadership and the generals that control really that, or they call it communist, but China's really like a fascist state. And it's the government corporations working together for a whole bunch of Communist Party leaders that are billionaires using their people as a slave state. I mean, it's got communism as kind of its functioning government, but it's really more of a kleptocratic fascist state. And so I keep going back to China over and over again because we've got major forces in the United States allied with them, and that's where we transferred most of our jobs. And so that's another reason. Also, energy independence. We became the biggest energy producer and exporter under Trump. And then, of course, we slipped way back, you know, after Biden got in. Inflation's already so bad, and all of the endless quantitative easing so huge that Trump's not going to be able to totally reverse or stop inflation. That's been going on, you know, for over 100 years, what's gotten us to this point. But he'll be able to cheapen energy a lot. He says probably cut it in half, and I agree with him. And that itself will slow it and put a lot more money back in people's pockets to be able to get the economy going again. But right now, we really kind of have a scenario where it's more like stagflation, where we have a stagnant economy, but also inflation, which is the worst possible economic situation to be in.
You've been generous with your time. I just have one last question. It's a little more personal. Tucker Carlson was thrown out of Fox. He was the top guy on cable, but he's found sort of a second act on Twitter. You were canceled on one day by 14 different social media companies. Elon Musk has revived your Twitter account, which has just led to a renaissance. I feel like free speech is the actual battleground. In Canada, Trudeau's bringing in a new censorship suite of laws. Can you tell us about what they're trying to do to knock Infowars off the air? And if they're able to seize Infowars, do you plan to continue to speak maybe on a different platform or in a different corporate entity?
Well, that's a great question, Ezra. You kind of started the interview talking about free speech and Musk, and it's a good place to finish up. But it's huge issue. Obviously, we could talk about it for hours. But first off, Elon Musk is a total game changer. He's done incredible things. I don't think that we would have any chance of winning this election, much less be winning it right now, if it wasn't for Elon Musk. And I believe he is, like you said, in just as much danger or more so than Trump. Trump and Elon are two titans promoting liberty, right now they have so much energy and so much intelligence versus Kamala the puppet and Biden the zombie. It's very paradoxical to see that. And so yes, it's come out in court that the FBI created the fake lawsuits against me, had judges find me guilty, which is un-American and illegal, and then had show trials to send a message to everybody that will destroy you. And they admitted on CNN, MSNBC, that this was an example for everybody else. So they're trying to set the precedent. Now they've arrested the head of Telegram until he rolled over.
Right.
And the EU wants to arrest Musk. Brazil wants to. The Australians talked about it. So they thought they had a problem with Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson. Now they've had to move on to something like Elon Musk, who reaches conservatively. I've tried to look at the numbers just on the videos and the posts he puts up. Easily 500 million people a day are seeing his videos and tweets and things he does. And then that's spread everywhere else. He's able to punch through the news cycle and change the subject from the diversionary topics to really central topics: human trafficking, fentanyl, World War III, the national debt, just incredible things. He's 90% of all satellites launching now is him. He's brought us back into space dominance. I mean, he's a maverick's maverick. And I'm not here to kiss ass, but when I see something that's so spectacular and so game-changing, I'm just thank God every day for Elon Musk. I actually say prayers for Elon Musk and President Trump because Trump says this all the time, and Elon hasn't said it yet, but I think he should because it's true. They're not trying to destroy Trump. They're trying to get through Trump to get to us. And so they're trying to get through meetings with the people, but I'm more junior to this, which is great. I couldn't imagine being that targeted. They are literally coming after those guys for everything they've got, all because they're pro-Team Humanity, armed for depopulation, don't want to make everybody poor to control them, and are just more laissez-faire type capitalists that believe in what made America so great. And so Infowars is up for sale, in liquidation. They've tried so many times to shut it down. They didn't want to settle. So the only path left was that. So the judge said, okay, they wanted the Democrat Party controlled plaintiffs wanted it just closed. But we went to federal court instead, so at least he'll allow it to be liquidated so that somebody outside who may be good can buy it, and then I can work for them. And in this storage studios, 16 years in this one office, 30 years on air, we can continue on without a hiccup. But that's coming up. I am separately having to pay the legal bills even to defend Infowars. That's the way it works. I'm completely out of money. Regardless, obviously, I've got a lot of offers, a lot of places I could go work and do things, but the system really sees this like as a Roman standard or capture the flag. And they also want to come in and get my intellectual property and then try to harass me further and try to take my material down off the web. I knew that it was their strategy months ago. They've actually been in the news lately. George Soros funded Media Matters, says they want to come in and get control of it and then harass me and harass others and just do a bunch of dirty tricks. So there are some people that are pretty substantive that say they're going to bid on it. Other people are welcome. You can just search and you look into it and how to find the auction. The Texas federal bankruptcy system of the Southern District of Texas. I'm going to post soon. We're 44 days out from the auction. Some stuff on the site for people who want to go see it. And if somebody buys it that comports with my free speech and what I want to do, and sees what's happening, it's a successful company. You never see companies going bankrupt because they're doing well. And the people that don't want to settle with them if they win a suit, they don't want any amount of money, and they've said that. They turned down $70 million, in a payout over the years, and they said, no, we don't want that to the news. We want him silenced. So these are classic totalitarians. They're not even hiding it anymore. So people want to support what I'm doing. There's a separate great sponsor that's been very supportive that's going to help us regardless going forward. That's the AlexJonesStore.com. I don't own that, but some great folks at Bigley do that create some of the best Patriot t-shirts. So we've got some classic shirts. We've got a lot of new shirts. They're really great designs. The AlexJonesStore.com. If people want to try to keep me on the air one way or another, they can get, there's a fundraiser shirt, classic Infowars shirt. That's the Keep Alex Jones broadcast going shirt, Save the Alex Jones broadcast shirt. And so I'm very thankful to folks to do that. But now is the time to try to back what we're doing. Over the years, I've helped countless other people that are being censored and attacked and come to their aid. And now I really am asking people to come to our aid at the AlexJonesStore.com. And they can also follow me on X. Even they're trying to take my real Alex Jones. The law says they can't, but they're going to try. And if I don't go fight that in court, they will win. So it's just a war of attrition. They want to punish me. The left thinks I got Trump elected. Sure, I was part of it, but everybody was, and I'd take credit if I was the one that did it. But that's how they see me, and so they see me as a symbol they want to take down. And at one level, I'm honored by that. But there's a lot of important things happening now, and people are now listening to us more than ever. They know that most of what we predicted came true. So Infowars has more credibility than ever had. So I think I'm entering the best phase of my career fighting tyranny. So I would humbly ask the viewers and listeners to keep us in the game and keep us in the fight. And then they would do that by following me at Real Alex Jones, supporting the sponsors, and getting a t-shirt or a ball cap that's politically incorrect, thealexjonestore.com.
You know, I was poking around. You got some great stuff in there, like really some fun designs, thealexjonestore.com. Well, listen, I wish you well. You were prophetic in many ways, and prophets are often not recognized in their own time, because they say things that are uncomfortable to the establishment. But even your phraseology, Infowars, there's a battle on for your mind. Those things which may have seemed far out 15 years ago, how they've come true in recent years. And I think one of the reasons I like you, and I mean, I find you energetic and passionate and well-read, but I think there's two kinds of errors someone can make in these days. One is trust everything. The other is trust nothing. But if you had to choose between these two mistakes, to be an omni-skeptic, to put every conventional wisdom to the acid test, that is the safer road to go in these insane times.
It definitely is. And Ezra, I admire your great work over the years and Rebel, and I know you guys have been through hell at Rebel News, but you've stayed the course and gotten stronger. And that's the thing, is we've survived so long and thrived. They've really gotten apoplectic and crazy wanting me off the air. But it's even worse for Trump. All they've done. Yeah. Imagine the frenzy now that like they're like degenerate gamblers. We're going to get Trump this time. We're going to get Trump this time.
Yeah. Well, it's great to talk with you. Thanks for hosting me in your beautiful studios. And God willing, so I guess that's 2 days after the U.S. election is your auction day.
No, a few days after.
Yeah, well, that's very momentous. We'll keep an eye on that. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ezra. God bless.
Thank you. Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything, though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.